Okay, so you've downloaded the Richmond installation files from our customer portal. So it's just four files: Windows Services, which is an upgrade to the common processing, email, and Active Directory sync tool, Specialist Web, Customer Web, and Database Upgrader module. There won't be any install files for the setup console or the legacy crystal reports because they are legacy and we're not providing new versions for them, even though you will be using the setup console. But any new features are going into the specialist client. There's no need to uninstall these modules apart from the database updater tool. So I'll show you that in a moment. So for each one of these installations, it's just a matter of upgrading each module. So it will prompt you to upgrade when you run these. So before you do that, you need to stop the Richmond services. There are three of them: AD Sync Tool, Email, and Processing Service. So just stop each one of these services. And then we recommend doing a few backups. So first of all, we recommend to back up your web config files. So the default location is inetpub, www.root, and support desk. And in the customer web file or folder, just create a copy. You can paste it into the same location or somewhere else. The web config file holds your database connection settings. Also, if you configured SAML, you just want to make sure you've got a backup of that. It all depends on what build you're upgrading to and whether we've changed anything in this. It may potentially wipe that information, so always create a backup. So do the same for the specialist web config file as well. And then we recommend doing the same for the services. So Richmond Systems and Windows Services, each one of these has a web config file which holds your database connection settings. So just make a backup of the app settings file, config file. So just do that for each one of these Active Directory, email, and processing service. Okay, and most importantly, make sure you do a full SQL backup of your database. So in this case, we're just upgrading our default one here. So just to perform a full SQL backup of that database. So obviously, standard SQL, specify your backup location and your file name and so forth, and perform a backup of your database. So you've always got a point in time. If it so happens you need to roll back, you can do so. Okay, so now you're ready to install your installation files for each one of these. So recommend just to right click, run as administrator, and it will prompt you to update your existing installation. So just run through the process and select your options. For each one, you will be prompted if you want to upgrade. So just say yes and just follow the wizard to upgrade each one of these. So you do that for the Windows services, Web Specialist, Web Self-Service. Before you install the Richmond database, that is the module to upgrade your database, you do actually need to uninstall the previous version. So just find in Add Remove Programs and right click and uninstall. Okay, so we run the Richmond database installer as admin. Just run through the wizard. Just select next. Set the terms. We're not going to put the license file at this point. You only need the license file if upgrading, say, from 14 to 15, not from 15 to minor revision. Even so, it's possibly easier to do that from the setup console. So once you've installed this and upgrade the database, then you can log into the setup console. Your organization name at this point is cosmetic, so it doesn't matter too much. So go to next. Select your correct SQL Server credentials. If you're logged on to the SQL Server, i.e. the application and database servers all in one server, you can just log in using Windows authentication. Otherwise, specify an SQL user name and password, i.e. Richdesk, or you can log into SA account or any other SQL account. I'm going to choose Windows authentication. Make sure your database name is correct. Go to next and install. We'll then prompt what you want to do. Okay, so we want to upgrade the existing database. So just simply click run, and it will show a command prompt with some notes in here as to what it's doing. Ignore any warnings that's not an error. If there's an error or issue, it will leave the command prompt on the screen and just capture the information and send it to support@richmondsys.com. So once you've upgraded, just go back and check your web config files. So from inet, pub, www, and support desk. Obviously, we've made our backup, but just check the actual one here. Just make sure you've got your connection details in here, that they are correct and it's connecting to the right database. If not, just pop in your SQL server name within here and the correct database. If you've got SAML enabled, what we recommend is rather than restoring the copy, because the web config file may have changed, just go into the copy and copy the SAML information you got within here and pop it into the new web config file. And just do the same for the specialist web as well. Just check the database connection settings and again, copy any information over that's not that's been wiped. And then check your program files area, Windows services, and again, just check your app settings, making sure you've got the correct database string in here as well. So just do that for all of the Windows services. Once you've done that and you're happy, then you can go in and start each one of your services again. Okay, so now we're in IIS. You just want to check that it's installed correctly. You've got your correct sites in here. If you're using Windows authentication, you may need to configure that again. So you just need to go to authentication and disable forms, enable Windows authentication, select providers, and make sure you remove the negotiate option. So you just have NTLM. So it's just as simple as that to re-enable the Windows authentication. Okay, now we've logged into the newly upgraded Richmond, and just a couple of things. From the utility menu, go to Extensions Manager. Just make sure all your services are running. Even though we started the Windows services, you can actually control it on an application level. So you've got your extensions, escalation services, email, sending and receiving, and your processing. So just recommend going through and starting all of these, make sure they're running. And you can check the details, and it does give you information as to whether it's working, whether it's processing emails or not. And finally, if you've just upgraded to 15.03, in this version, we've got the new search capability. And also there are new view restrictions. So the existing view restrictions, the old ones, which are configured from the setup console, have an asterisk against them. The new ones, I've created a new one earlier, they don't. So you have to create some new view restrictions in order to allow this search option to work for searching within instance. So go to the utility menu and go to Views Manager. And just make sure you create a new view. This is one I've created earlier. I created one all active, so everything that's active, and I've allowed this to be a site search so we can search within here, and also it's applied as a view restriction. So this is a new views area. Please look at our video on that and best practices in creating your new search views within here. Okay, thank you for watching.